tonight was wanted to reach out to all of you. I don't think there's too many people watching right now, but I know this will save on the social medias that I'm broadcasting to. I think I got Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And yeah, just wanted to tell you all how much I appreciate you, what you do every day, the sacrifice that you make in all the time away from your families and friends, 12-hour days, most of you at least 3 days a week, 12 hours. But I know a lot of you are working 6 days a week, 12 hours each day plus. So, yeah, if anybody's on, I'd love to chop it up with you, see what's going on in your life, kind of hear from you about the dialysis technician role, the challenges, the victories, the rewards that come with it. I know I've had a lot in my life. This is 25 years for me as a dialysis technician. And as most of you know, I've kind of moved into other areas with that certification and that expertise to lead a lot of different type of healthcare organizations, from dialysis centers to vocational schools, public health, med device, even dabbling in the wellness sector now. So anybody with me tonight, feel free to chime in. Just gonna roll through this streaming software I have and see if we got anybody with us. And wouldn't you know, no, we don't have anybody. So, just for the sake of giving some context to why I actually got on tonight again, it is Dialysis Technician Week, all the way up until midnight tomorrow. And I'm not sure who or when this recognition day or recognition week started, but I think it's a valid recognition. There are over about close to 8,000 dialysis facilities across the United States, and hundreds of thousands of individuals that require hemodialysis therapies for the treatment of chronic kidney disease, stage 5, or what some people would call the end stage of kidney disease or renal disease, ESKD or ESRD. And, about 25 years ago, I was introduced to the profession out of really a lifetime of exposure from watching a close family member go through dialysis at home. His body changed quite a bit over the years from a big, strong guy into a very frail, weak man towards the end of his life. And, I would never call him weak spirited, but definitely his body uh, kind of declined over about 35 years of dialysis treatment. Really smart guy, influenced me a lot, spent a lot of time with me, and did kind of the family outing type of things, fishing and biking and sailboating, all that sort of stuff. So I really appreciated him in my life. And after graduating high school, I kind of ventured into what I thought I wanted to do, which was just make as much money as I could without going to school, and ended up in construction. And it took a few years, but it started raining quite a bit. I don't know if you guys remember the El Nino days. I don't know what that was, 2000, early 2000s. And I started kind of bouncing back and forth between construction. I was a union iron worker. Shout out to all my iron worker buddies, Local 416 here in Los Angeles. And my dad and my uncle did the same thing. So it was kind of an easy move, but hard, really hard job. Um, Hardest physical thing I've ever done, actually, and probably could use some of that in my life at this age, just from I never had to go to the gym when I was a young man, put it that way. But ended up in dialysis centers when it would be raining, working as a dialysis tech, and kind of bounce back and forth between construction and being a dialysis technician, and one day found out that or realized that I really enjoyed being a dialysis technician, that I didn't have to shuffle back and forth because when it rained, I was still indoors and people needed their care. They needed their dialysis treatments. And if you don't know, chronic kidney disease stage 5 will require some form of renal replacement therapy, whether it be a hemodialysis treatment, a peritoneal dialysis treatment, or a kidney transplant for those that are well enough and lucky enough to get the call. And today I have quite a few friends that are waiting for that call, and I'm just hoping and praying that they're going to get it any day here. Shout out to Justin, Fam. Many of you have seen him on the podcast that I do, Musings with Morales, several times. We did an art show with him beginning of this year, March 1st, for actually March 1st for the beginning of World Kidney Month. And yeah, he's waiting for his call, guys. Whether it be coming through the list, which is cadaveric donation, or through a living donor. He's a great guy, young man, got a lot of contribution to the world ahead of him. And shout out to my buddy Big Sleeps as well. Just want to give you all my prayers, bro. I know that you're going through a challenging time in transition to CKD5, and you've got the word out on the street for your the plea for your living donation. I know you're on the list as well, and God's with you, bro. You're gonna get that call. I know it. But it does require some extreme and drastic measures to stay alive when you have kidney disease, guys. It's not an easy life to sit in a dialysis chair 3 times a week for at least 4 hours usually. But the trip back and forth, it turns into a half day of commitment and quite a tiring process. Or just put it this way, it's not easy. It's a tough treatment, and most people don't come out of it feeling a 100%. They need some recoup time. So, yeah, no, there's like, I don't know, 550,000, 600,000 people that go to these treatments a few times a week and sit with folks like me and some of the people I've trained over the years that are dialysis technicians or dialysis nurses. They sit with their nephrologists and their social workers and dietitians. They got this whole team around them, but they're the ones sitting in the chair, and it's a rough journey. But for this dialysis technician week, I just want to recognize the people that surround them. When I would say surround them, most of the time in a hemodialysis center, a dialysis technician is providing the line of sight type of care, very intimate setting where they care for about 4 patients at a time. They don't take their eyes off of them. I mean, they sit and survey and evaluate and notice the changes, and have conversations that go beyond the healthcare needs. When you spend that much time with somebody, you really get to know them. They get to know you. You develop a rapport or a relationship or whatever you want to call it, but you're part of each other's lives. And I say that both ways. Is I can think about a lot of patients that I've worked with over the years, and maybe I shouldn't say patients, people that I've worked with over the years that they've impacted who I am today. I can think back 25 years, 24 years, 23. I can think of memories, moments with people that the same emotion that I had at the time, it can bring it right back. So, again, I'm hoping that maybe a few of my dialysis tech friends would message me and share some stories with me. But I'm just going to spend a few minutes, and if we don't get too much live stream traction, then I'll just share my stories and say thank you to everybody for what you do, and keep doing it. And you got my support, my prayers. But I'll go back a few years. I'm thinking about 2003, 2004. Working with a young lady that She was young. I want to say she was in her late 20s. Uh, Very pretty African American lady. I used to work in the city of Long Beach quite often, and right there on 10th and Atlantic. And I know some of my friends are working there. Some of my students are working there today. It's a great location as far as the need. There's a lot of people in that area that have chronic kidney disease stemming from type 2 diabetes or high blood pressure. So there's just a lot of demand for the services there. And I was working with this young lady, and she had a catheter in her chest. I'm not sure if it was a jugular or a subclavian catheter, but the exit site was coming out of her chest. And she had that for a while. And then she also had a fistula, which is like a surgical creation or a surgically altered vein in her arm that was waiting to be used. And one day it came time to use it. And, I was a good cannulator or good, I don't like to use this word, but I had a good stick. I had a good needle, and it was like, Morales, come place the needle for this young lady. So I just remember her being so scared because she had been seeing other people get the needles in them for quite some time. I want to say about a year at least. And you'll see a lot of stuff in a dialysis center. You'll see uh, people in pain, people that have different sort of health complications during the treatment, from low blood pressure to severe cramps, like cramps that'll make the hardest of the hard cry. And you know, I kind of grew up in that mentality that, like, you shouldn't cry over pain, like physical pain, but man, I saw a lot of people cry over these cramps. A lot of people get really scared over the low blood pressure. A lot of people, uh, things that would seem very small, really disturb their life. Things like itching or things like hiccups, for like little something you think was so small, the hiccups. But I had a patient that had it for like a week, and to say that it affected him mentally is an understatement. It really disturbed him. So, anyways, she was very scared of the needles because she had seen some things with the needles where some patients, had pain from it. Some people had injury from the needles because these are big ass needles. They're like, if you can think of a box juice or a Capri Sun straw, like that size, 15 gauge, 14 gauge, 16, smallest one we'll use in dialysis, 17 gauge, like temporarily. But these are big needles, and they need two of them in their arms. So she was really scared. And she was like, I need a towel. So she wanted to put a towel in her mouth and bite down on the towel when the needles went in, which she did. And I placed the needles, and she gave some screams, and she kicked her legs, out of pain. Uh, it was pretty. I don't know what the right word is, but it'll it'll get you in your gut to see somebody, an adult, go through that sort of pain, and yeah, of course, not want it, but like have to find little ways to tolerate it and know that it's going to happen 3 times a week. I mean, it was traumatic for her and me. But I know much more for her. And long story short, she eventually stopped needing that towel in her mouth and eventually got a little bit more used to it. I don't want to say she ever, um, she had that really soft skin on the inside of her arm, like upper arm, that when you put the needle, it was going to hurt her. So, you know, young lady experiencing kidney disease, going through traumatic venipuncture 3 times a week, and that's just a small part of the journey. What it did to her family life, her marriage, everything was, the needles were just a small part. So, I gotta say that that lady was a very special patient to me, and we spent years in that relationship of me providing care for her. Like I said, we were part of each other's lives for at least 4 hours, 3 times a week. In some cases, that's more time than you spend with your families, right? And I know it was for me at that time. So let's fast forward, 24 years. And I mean, there's a really special memory 25 years ago or so, and then a really special memory very recently where one day a young lady came into uh, the hemodialysis training program that I teach. And for those of you that know me, I own a vocational school. It's called Dialysis Education Services. We train the dialysis technicians, we train the dialysis nurses to be able to provide the care for people like the lady that I'm mentioning. So this young lady comes in, beautiful African American lady, and she joined the class, and she, I think first or second day of class, probably first day of class, I usually ask people like, hey, why are you here? What makes you want to be a dialysis technician? What's your background? What's your story, right? And she says, um, I grew up with my mom. Uh, she was on dialysis, and I used to spend time with her when she was on the treatment, over here in Long Beach. And I said, what the hell? Long Beach? Like, where at? And she's like, right here and right here. Like, and I was like, I used to work there. And then she's like, well, she did it for, I can't remember what number of years. She recently passed away. Um, but that's why I'm here, because my mom. And I said, what's your mom's name? And she gave me the first name, and I gave her the last name. And like, we both, like I said, I don't like, you punch me, kick me, get in a car accident, whatever. I don't believe in crying, but man, I couldn't hold my tears back. It was like such a, I don't even know the right word to put to it again. Like, she walked in, she's got a solid reason for studying and wanting to move into this profession. And our history was, I remember her. I remember when she was a little girl with her little braids, and coming in there with her dad to see her mom. And it was just really a special moment. And I was so glad that I got to meet both of them, mom and daughter. Daughter graduated the program. She went straight to work, and I believe she just graduated as an RN, either RN or maybe an LVN. I'm not sure, but she graduated a nursing program very recently. So I mean, it was just, I can't help but feel so proud of her, and just knowing the history, it's really special to be a part of her journey, with the relationship that I had with her mom as her dialysis technician. And those, you dialysis techs, you know what that's like. The relationship between a dialysis tech and a patient is it's really close. Uh, and I don't want to say that we're special to them or more special to them than they are to us, because folks like the lady I mentioned, you know, sh- again, she's a big part of who I am today. So I'm wondering if any of you guys got stories like that. If you do, whatever social media channel you're on, just feel free to uh, to drop a story, because I think these stories need to be heard. There's I'm going to be honest with you. So I own a school, and this is not the sexiest profession for people today. Just like nursing is not the sexiest profession, as it has been in history. People are not running to become nurses and dialysis techs anymore, and maybe some of that is, you know, the damage that was done to healthcare professionals during the COVID pandemic, and is still happening. A lot of people have not recovered from the pandemic in many ways, physically and mentally. It was a lot to go through, for all of us, whether you're in healthcare or not. But I know a lot of nurses left their jobs due to COVID vaccine mandates. And, some left their job in the traditional healthcare space and maybe we can call that sick care sometimes. But left their jobs and then went into like the wellness space, which is pretty damn cool. Trying to help people to stay healthy, stay well, live longer, stay out of the hospital, stay away from doctors. And no disrespect to you, my doctor friends, but I wish I never had to see a doctor. Wish I was just in perfect health. I'm 48 now, and definitely have had to kind of spend more time with doctors than I would like. Knock on wood, nothing serious with me, but definitely I think a wellness approach is something to look at. So I know a lot of nurses and other healthcare professionals that have and are moving into the wellness space, which again, more power to you. I'm actually moving over to this space, and when I say moving, I would say branching out into the wellness space. Things like hyperbaric oxygen and peptides and red light therapy. And I mean, I don't know much about exosomes and stem cells yet, but they're being used with great success. And, I'm looking forward to researching and diving in a little bit more. So, not sure about any of you. Wellness or sick care? Where do you want to sit? I think I know a lot of nurses who also moved into writing, into bloggers and like the marketing space for healthcare for the same reason, like not wanting to get the COVID vaccination and basically losing their jobs as a result. And then I can't remember how long it was after that, but they pulled the COVID vaccine mandate, right? So a lot of people left their jobs, and the employers end up not enforcing the vaccine mandate a short time later. So that put a big dent in the healthcare workforce. That put a big dent in, I think, the perception of some of the healthcare practitioners of the loss of choice in something like a vaccination, and then the loss of a job as a result. It's kind of it's a, a tough punch to forget. Where's the loyalty, right, from the employer space? So who's with us right now? I didn't make any announcements, so I'm not expecting that we've got anybody with us. But if you do check this out, please drop in some stories, guys. And when I think about being a dialysis tech, another thing, so I mentioned a patient that I was really fond of, um, and how patients of mine or people that I took care of, they left lasting imprints on me. I also had several patients that sometimes people would say, they're challenging, I guess, or maybe difficult. I don't want to like disrespect anybody, but you don't like everybody, right? Even when you're there to care for people, sometimes you don't like the people you're caring for. I mean, I'm sure like like school teachers too. Like they got a bunch of kids in their class. I don't know how many they got these days, but like 30 or something like this, right? And I bet they every now and then they're like, man, that kid's just it's just a brat, or maybe they got other words for their students. But you're not gonna like everybody. Um, but I can remember in school too, like I was like the smart ass. I was the brat. I was the one that would like make teachers pull out their hair sometimes. I was a good student, but I could definitely provoke somebody. And maybe I did it on purpose a lot of times. I still do that with people. Like I don't know why, but sometimes I'll make my wife like to provoke her, right? Um, but I had people that I took care of that were like that too. That they for some people made their life difficult, made their day rough. I can remember a patient, several patients in that same facility that when I would walk in for the day, the people that I work with would be like, "Hey, hurry up! Can you take over for me? I don't want any more interaction with this person. Like, take over." They got me up to here, right? Like I'm done. And I would say the all-time winner in that regard, the all-time winner of patients that I took care of that got on people's nerves is my favorite patient ever. And she got on my nerves too. But for whatever reason, like that was the person that I went home and prayed for, at the end of the night. That was the person that I thought about and worried about. And it wasn't just kidney disease that was on her plate. She had a life that was very difficult, everything from child abuse to being displaced from her parents in foster care to life on the streets with different sort of professions that, definitely are not what you want your kids to grow up to have to do or to do. Um, yeah, my all-time favorite patient. Um, Probably got on everybody's nerves more than any other patient that we had. And I'll tell you a story that I had with her. Like because of that, uh, I don't know. I got along with her better than everybody else. She was definitely difficult for me, but there was a day where when I was pulling her needles out of her arm, it squirted on her nice jacket. The blood squirted on her nice jacket, and the little things in close relationships, right, can set people off. So I got little blood on her jacket. She was like, she was mad. She was like, well, you're gonna pay for my dry cleaning for that. And in so many words I told her that I'm not. um that she shouldn't have like her nicer clothes in dialysis. We've talked about this before, that sometimes blood is going to be an issue there when you got big needles in your arms. And if you guys don't know, they're getting medications that thin their blood out when they're on dialysis. So it's called heparin, and they get it throughout the treatment. They're likely to bleed quite a bit after the needles are pulled out. And yeah, I got on her jacket, and she was like popping off, and she got pretty upset. And then when I said I'm not gonna pay for the dry cleaning, she bursted out, and it was like, basically threats. Like, I'm gonna get fucked up. Like somebody's gonna be waiting for me. This type of stuff. And that didn't phase me. Um, but it phased the nurse I was working with. She was like, this is a big problem, and you need to stay away from that patient now. And I was like, you know, I understand it's a problem, but I don't think the answer is for me to stay away from her. The answer is to find out why this escalated to the level it did. And sometimes you can't do that on your own, right? Like I don't know about you guys, but there's a lot of times where you need somebody to step in and kind of be a, what do you call it, a mediator, arbitrate, or whatever term you want to say. Uh, we had to get the social worker involved, and it was like the next treatment that she came in, and the social worker like said, "Hey, I want to talk to both of you," and pulled us both into his office. And we had a conversation. And like, the toughness, the threats, all those things that I mentioned, that none of that was real. It was like she broke down instantly, and she was like, I thought Mike was my boy. Like I thought he was, like, we were cool like that. And I also felt that way. So it was surprising for me to have, basically death threats from her. uh but I mean, I can't say I didn't feel the same way. As like, like, how did this break down over a little bit of blood and me not paying for the dry cleaning, to get it taken off your jacket? So, the social worker did their thing. And all respect to the social workers in all areas of healthcare. But I got to say, in the dialysis clinics, if you guys don't know, social workers have their, man, they got their hands full. They they got to deal with financial, they got to deal with emotional, they got to deal with transportation, with insurance, with staff patient problems, staff to staff problems. Man, they got a lot on their plate. And they got a really high level of education. In dialysis centers, it's not like a nursing home where, I don't know if you know, the nursing homes, they can be like an associate degree or a bachelor's degree, and they can't do psych therapy. In a dialysis center, they got to be a master's degree and a licensed clinical social worker, and they can do psych therapy. Highly skilled individuals, highly educated individuals. So this guy, he did his magic, man, and he broke down the barriers that day, and we carried on, and she understood at that point that she's got to kind of be selective about what clothes she wears to the dialysis center because sometimes accidents happens, and the dialysis clinic is not going to pay, nor are the staff that are there, which at the time I was making like, I don't know, $15 an hour or something. I can't afford to pay for your dry cleaning. you know I got to take care of my family. uh, but again, this was very, very challenging, colorful patient that I really, really, I loved. Um, and when I say love, like I still think about her this day, like my number one favorite patient of all time, but the most difficult patient. I wish I could, I wish some of the staff that I worked with at that time were watching right now and would remember and reminisce with me on. We called her the Queen Bee before Beyonce was around. We called her the Queen Bee, and yeah, when she walked in the building, the Queen was in the building. So, quick announcement: if you get a chance, um, let's see, what date is it? I think it's the 23rd. For any of you who run healthcare operations, we're going to be doing a webinar at Dialysis Education Services, and the webinar is titled Solving Dialysis Workforce Challenges. It's 30 minutes. It's really our chance to kind of share beyond teaching students, which we do. We've done for 16 years at Dialysis Education Services, taught dialysis techs and nurses. It's really to go beyond that and discuss how we partner with businesses in things like staffing, internal training, onboarding training, annual competency training, and things like auditing or compliance audits. Um, Even in the realm of research, we have supported quite a few companies in providing participants for focus groups, uh, human factor studies for med device companies, and that's normally a very expensive, time consuming project to gather people. But this is 25 years for me now as a dialysis tech, 25 years teaching dialysis for different dialysis schools before I owned my business as well. And the network is huge. The people that we have in our database that are qualified technicians and nurses, some of you who are seeing this, um, we can get them together quickly. We can kind of segment or aggregate or stratify them according to years of experience, to the devices they've worked on, to the care settings they've worked on, and that's a really valuable resource or asset for companies that need those sort of focus groups or human factor studies, which basically every med device company out there is going to need that sort of cohorting of people. So, yeah, if you have the time at 11 a.m., that's Thursday on the 23rd, we're going to be doing this webinar, Solving Dialysis Workforce Challenges. So I see that looks like my partner Melissa has been posting for us. So hopefully you get a chance to see this after I jump off here in a few minutes. But again, I just wanted to jump on and say to all of the dialysis technicians and really to anybody who's caring for those with chronic kidney disease, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Everything that you do, um, the studies, getting the core knowledge to be able to do this job, taking it seriously during the school time, the long days, the early mornings, the late nights, then early mornings, which I know a lot of dialysis techs do. I used to do that. I used to close a clinic 10 o'clock, then be at open a clinic 2:30. Some what is it? Team no sleep type of stuff going on with a lot of technicians. The traveling, I know a lot of you because of the workforce shortages are traveling to different areas, states, cities, clinics, sometimes on a daily, just to make sure that they're up to speed on what they need to provide quality care. So, I'm going to make a plea, and it may sound like a selfish plea, but it really is not. If you are a dialysis tech, if you know somebody that would be a good tech, um, somebody that is in healthcare already as like maybe a CNA or an MA, somebody that just has a very compassionate demeanor about them, and would care for people like if those people were the people they love the most in the world. Send them my way, please. Uh, give them my phone number, give them my website. Uh, Let them know that there's a strong need for people like them. So I'll leave you guys with this. And I mentioned my thanks for even the studies that you do, the time you spend in gaining the skills to provide care. So one of the first things that I always say to students when I meet them, and if any of you are watching, you'll remember this clearly, is if you were coming to school, which that's what I do, right? I teach people in a school. If you were coming to school because the person that you love the most in this world needed the skills that you're gaining in this school, how hard would you study? And, hopefully I said that in a way that you guys understand. But if it was your mom, your dad, your brother, your daughter, your son, your wife, your husband that needed the care that you give, how hard would you study? How serious would you take your job? And time again, the people that I talk to that are dialysis technicians and nurses, they use some iteration of that. A good friend of mine, Richard Cabrera, he says, everybody's somebody, somebody. Like every person in that chair is somebody, somebody. So the same thing is what I'm asking you all. Thank you for treating people like that. To all you dialysis technicians, take the weekend, celebrate with your families, with your animals. Take some time to just appreciate yourself because what you do is, man, it's a huge impact on so many people. Somebody. Again, happy Dialysis Technicians Week to all of you. If you need anything, you know where I'm at. You can always reach out to me. What you do makes me want to help in any way I can. So please, if you have a need, whether it's education or whether it's support or whether it's mentorship, if I can offer that at all, I'm here for you guys. Hope you all have a great night and a great weekend with your families and your loved ones. Take good care.